The weight of a day often settles in the back of the mouth. It often starts as a subtle bracing while you are sorting through the mail, and by the middle of the afternoon, the jaw has locked into a rigid habit. This is an internal architecture of protection. You might notice it only when you try to swallow, or when you suddenly realize your teeth have been pressed together for the last few hours. It is the body's way of managing a load that feels too heavy for the mind to process in real time. This is Belmere, a place where we gather in the transitions of middle life to listen to the reorganization of the self. This is a sanctuary for the woman becoming, where change is held as a natural pattern unfolding. You are arriving at a sense of completion. We move through our hours using phrases that act as shock absorbers for everyone else. I'm fine, it's all good, no problem. These are the small oils that keep the machinery of a family or a workplace from grinding, but they carry a hidden friction. The throat registers every edited sentence. The jaw carries the weight of everything you nearly said but swallowed instead. Over decades, this bracing moves from an occasional reaction to a permanent posture. It becomes a physical symptom, a dull ache behind the ears, a fatigue in the face, a restless grinding in the dark. This habit of containment is often quite old, rooted in a time when being easy and quiet was a form of currency. A girl who never complained was a girl who was safe. A woman who smoothed every edge was indispensable. Those old protections now feel like a tight garment that no longer stretches to accommodate the person you are becoming. The jaw tires because the unspoken has grown heavier with age. The throat constricts because it is weary of being a filter for everyone else's peace of mind. Most of the time, this tension gathers without an audience. It is there in the car, or while reading a difficult text, or while simply sitting in the quiet of a house that expects you to be okay. It is the body trying to finish a conversation that your politeness interrupted hours ago. We are looking for small, porous moments, places where the air returns to a sealed room and the voice surfaces just to hear its own vibration, without needing to explain itself to anyone. There is a particular kind of settling that happens when the body stops rehearsing for the next interaction. It feels like the bones finally find their seat, a deep internal alignment that has nothing to do with posture and everything to do with presence. In this state, the jaw is simply a part of the face, soft and unlatched. The tongue rests broad in the floor of the mouth, taking up its full space. There is a profound sense that you have finally caught up with your own shadow, and you are no longer running to meet the expectations of a version of yourself that died years ago. You occupy your space in the room because you exist, a fact that requires no further evidence or justification. The I'm fine is replaced by a shorter, steadier truth that lives in the belly and the chest. I am resting. I am finished for today. I cannot take that on. You speak these things without the rising inflection of a question. You are not looking for a nod of agreement or a permission slip. The air feels supportive here, holding you like deep, still water. You see the patterns of your old silences, the ways you used to shrink to fit the conversation, but you remain separate from them now. You are becoming exact. There is a deep, internal resonance when the words you use actually match the sensation in your chest. It feels like a click in the nervous system. Your voice sounds richer to your own ears, not because of volume, but because of a sound that comes from a person who has stopped apologizing for the space they take up. This is the promise of this passage. Your reality is a sacred fact. It is valid, even if it is never explained to another living soul. When you live from this center, the world meets you with a different kind of respect. People sense your unavailability for the performative. It is written in the way your shoulders drop and your jaw hangs. You have become a person of weight. You are already whole, even in the moments when you feel most unfinished. The becoming is not a pursuit. It is an unfolding of what was already there, buried under the requirements of your younger years. To anchor this sense of arrival, we move into a practice of quiet witnessing. We are moving the weight of the unspoken from the bone of the jaw to the surface of the world, where it can be held by something other than your own muscles. This is not a performance. Even for yourself, it is the body finally being allowed to finish what the mind has been interrupting. Find a few minutes alone. This doesn't need to be a sacred hour. A car parked in the shade after running errands is enough. Find a pen and a scrap of paper. a receipt, or an old envelope. We want something ordinary, because what we are doing is ordinary, and profound only in the way that all honest things are. Sit where your spine can be fully supported. Let the chair or the wall hold your weight entirely. Check your teeth. If they are touching, let them drift apart by a fraction of an inch. Feel the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth. This unhooking is a signal to the nervous system. The brace is finished. You are off duty. You are no longer the one who has to hold the world together. We are going to work with what we call unfinished sentences, the half-thoughts you have been carrying in your jaw for days, weeks, sometimes years. These are not the grand, dramatic things that were left unspoken. They are the small, ordinary ones that accumulated quietly. The sentence that stopped in your throat at the dinner table. The word you swallowed in a meeting. The thing you decided, at the last moment, not to text back. You don't need to send these words to anyone. You don't need to revisit the conversation or explain yourself to the person who was in the room. This is simply about finishing them. Here, on the page, where they cost nothing and belong entirely to you. Let the pen move before the mind can intervene. Don't reach for the significant or the eloquent. Reach for the recent, the interrupted. I almost said that I needed more time. I almost said that I didn't find it funny. I almost said no before I said yes. I almost said I'm not actually fine. I almost said that I miss you. Write the sentence all the way to its end. Don't stop where you stopped before. Let it finish on the page, the way it never finished in the room. Feel the difference in the jaw as the sentence completes. The slight softening, the small release of something that has been mid-clench since the moment it was swallowed. Once the first sentence is finished, offer the body a second question. What did I agree to that I didn't mean? Again, reach for the ordinary. Not the life-altering capitulations, but the small daily ones that accumulate like sediment. I agreed to take it on when I was already full. I agreed that it was fine when it wasn't. I agreed to be available when I needed to disappear. I said of course when every cell in my body said otherwise. Write it down. Watch the ink settle on the page. There is something clarifying about seeing the full shape of a sentence you have been carrying in fragments. It becomes contained, finished. The jaw doesn't need to hold it anymore because the page is holding it now. If a third sentence arrives, let it. Often the heaviest ones wait until the lighter ones have cleared the way. These may be older. They may belong to versions of you from years ago. Let them come. Write them down with the same unhurried hand. They have waited long enough. When you feel a natural pause, take a breath through the nose. On the exhale, let out a soft sound. Not words, just air moving through a slightly open mouth. At the back of the throat, feel where the sound originates. Feel whether the throat allows it freely, or whether there is still some resistance, some held-back quality. If the sound wants to grow slightly louder, let it. You are not performing. You are simply noticing what the body does when the gate is open, and the words have already gone through. Stay with the page for a moment. Look at what is written there. The finished sentences, the completed thoughts, the things that now exist outside of your neck and your jaw and your careful politeness. You don't need to do anything with them. You don't need to go and say any of them aloud. The completion has already happened. The body registered it the moment the pen reached the period. Notice if the shoulders have moved even slightly toward the earth. Notice if the face feels less arranged. This is what it feels like when the jaw is no longer on duty, not empty but unburdened. Keep the paper or let it go. The sentences have served their purpose the moment they were written in full. What remains is a body that has practiced the act of completion, that has learned, in a small but cellular way, that thoughts are allowed to have endings, that words are allowed to arrive somewhere, that the throat does not have to be a permanent holding place for everything that was almost said. As you return to your day, carry this with you, not the content of what you wrote, but the sensation of finishing. When you feel the jaw begin to lock around a swallowed word, you will recognize it now. You will know what is happening. And you will know, even if only privately, that you can give it an ending. Later, alone, on whatever scrap of paper is nearest. The sentences don't have to live in your bones. They can live on the page instead. This is not about becoming someone who says everything out loud. It is about becoming someone whose interior is not permanently mid-sentence. Transformation in this stage of life is the slow, reverent process of shedding the protections that no longer serve you. Your unfinished sentences were never meant to be stored in the hinge of your jaw. They were always meant to end. If you recognized yourself somewhere in these words today, please like, share, or subscribe. This is Belmere, a sanctuary for the woman becoming.